Well, hey now, everybody. It's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM and 103gbfrocks.com. Here with my tag team partner in podcasting, the most must-see athlete. Say hello to Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
Good morning, Rob, and look at you today. Goldberg. Love the T-shirt.
Thanks. This was one of my, it was a $5 one from, I got a mystery box. And I told you, you would think it'd be all like enhancement guys. Everyone in my mystery box, it was like, you get 5 T-shirts for $25, but you don't know what they are. You know the size.
But didn't you get hammered with a Sasha Banks shirt?
No, that was my Slam Crate.
Oh, that was a disappointment.
Yeah, that was the only one that was a disappointment. But
$5 for that shirt, and it looks comfortable as heck, dude. I pay extra to get those softy shirts.
I hate. So, boy, you're taking me. I was talking to Maddie about this all morning today off the air. I feel so fat all day, and it's got nothing to do with what I ate. It's because the new trend with like shirts, and I've got a few wrestling shirts like this, and this is one of them. It's those soft tees where it's like, I don't know, not hard like the old tees used to be. Even
like the soft, it's like a softer material. It's like a shirt you could sleep in. They're like butter on your skin. I love them.
It squeezes me. Yeah, it's like butter, like it's melting to my skin. I hate the way I feel in these shirts, and I know everyone loves them. You
like those thick, heavy, starchy shirts?
Yes, I know those are not popular anymore, but that's the way I feel. I hate these soft tees, and even our station's moving to soft tees, and I'm like, oh no, please don't start me with this. I hate the way I look and feel in a soft tee.
At least you recognize that you're in the minority. I don't look great in them either, but they're so comfortable. In fact, when I got shirts from Bruce Pritchard, I paid extra to get the soft. You have to pay extra now when you're ordering T-shirts if you want to get the soft blend.
Hate soft. Hate it.
You feel like it makes you too booby.
Yeah, it's like every little fat pocket you can just see on my body. I hate it. And they're just not I feel so fat all day. I hate it. But I paid $5 for this shirt and I wanted to keep it in the rotation.
I love the shirt. It's a great shirt.
Thanks.
I'm sorry you don't feel great in it today.
I was gonna say on the back it says everyone's next, but no, it says it right there.
Yeah, everyone's next.
So how you doing, bud?
Good. Before we get into SmackDown, did you watch the Bruno documentary? We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Did you watch that on the network?
Not yet. I'm going to, though. Did you?
It's 45 minutes long, and it is a documentary on Bruno Sammartino. And I never really had a particular attachment to Bruno.
Same.
I just didn't. My dad didn't even care about Bruno Sammartino, or at least I didn't know, and he was an Italian-American. But I was moved watching this. When you hear about his story and his childhood in particular, and where he came from and how he was practically murdered and his family starving during the war, and then he comes here and just the life he lived, it was a very good one. And he did right by the business, and for all intents and purposes, the business, at least in this version of history, did right by him. It was very touching. I really enjoyed it, and I thought you'd love it.
I intend to watch that. Still trudging through the last something else to wrestle with. I wish I could say I loved this, but I just don't.
I'm hopeful. I don't know anybody. I don't know many people whose like first show or first podcast or anything like that is awesome. They're working out the bugs.
Shows are great.
Sometimes I'm hoping that they're working out the bugs.
You're right.
I hope that they work out the bugs. But as I say that, I remember the very first Something to Wrestle podcast was the Dusty Rhodes one, and I know you don't care for Dusty Rhodes, but that was a really enjoyable podcast, and it was only an hour and 15 minutes, and it had some super funny moments in it.
It's not the length; it's just they're different because of the cameras. Is the best way I can sum it up.
I think they're trying too hard.
It's just they're doing something different that subconsciously that's changing it.
I hope they can fix that.
The audio, which I know that they're aware of and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just missing for me. I hope it gets better. Man, I had a point I wanted to make about the network and I don't remember what it was. Oh, going back to Bruno for a second. You said you didn't have a lot of cherished Bruno memories, and I'm the same way. But there's two people that like, so when I was pretty much the only person in my family who liked wrestling. But I had a grandfather who's no longer with us, my mom's dad. And whenever he would see me watching wrestling or whatever, he always showed it a level of respect, and he always brought up Gorgeous George. And my grandmother had zero interest in wrestling, but always mentioned that her mother would never miss Gorgeous George. And that they loved Gorgeous George, or I think they loved to hate him, actually, or whatever the story was. And then likewise, at my other grandparents' house, I would have uncles that I would see. And whenever wrestling would come up, they'd always mention Bruno Sammartino. They didn't like wrestling, but they loved Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah, and Bruno had that connection with everybody. And this was at a time when no one knew it was a work, or very few people were smartened up. And so everything was a shoot then. Him losing Ivan Koloff was a shoot. That building was silent. No one expected it because it wasn't like they weren't predicting pay-per-views like we predict pay-per-views. Like, okay, so they're going to push this guy because they want him to go over, so they have it for SummerSlam. Like, we're thinking from a booking perspective when we pick matches now, no longer who's the most physically capable man in the fight.
Right.
And back then it was Bruno, man. It was Bruno all day.
It was always Bruno. And it's funny you mentioned about that, people not knowing it was a work, because my grandfather told me a funny story about this too that I've always loved, and I don't think I've ever shared on this podcast before. So he said, "You know how I learned it was fake?" And I said, "How?" And he said, "One night in Philadelphia, my friends and I, it was a summertime, my friends and I went to a fight, and one guy got beat up real bad, and they left him bad, and then they broke his arm, and he walked out and he needed help out, and he had a broken arm." And he said it was a summertime, and we went to, I think he went to like Baltimore. They were going on to the beach. And he said later that weekend we went to Baltimore, and we went to a different wrestling show, and same guy was wrestling that next night,
and they broke his arm.
Broke his arm again. And he's like, that's when it came together for him that it was all not legit.
Back to when all the shows were house shows, and it was all independent circuit, and it wasn't on television, so they broke his arm again. Wow, I see they're breaking it. I see they broke your arm again.
It's like a rerun. Like and just earlier that weekend, he saw the same exact match with the same exact ending, and you'd think a guy who broke his arm, wouldn't be able to wrestle that next day, but they saw the same match, and I just thought that was funny.
Do you know when it started to come for me, Unravel? Now, you were older when you got into it, but remember, I started watching it as a kid.
Yeah, sure.
So for me, it was a shoot then too. It was not a work. For me, I had gone to a show at the Jaffa Mosque with my dad, and John Tenta was wrestling at the beginning as Earthquake. But I'd never seen this guy before on TV. I just vaguely remembered seeing him at the Jaffa Mosque. He wrestled in the beginning of it was probably one of the dark matches or whatever the heck's, early match in the card. They were working him out. They hadn't put him on TV yet. About a month later, they do the angle where Undertaker's doing, or the Ultimate Warrior is doing push-ups, and he's bringing people from the crowd in to do push-ups with him on his back. And they pick Tenta out of the crowd as like a fan to come in. And so he gets on his back, and then as he's doing the push-ups, Tenta then, boom, earthquakes him, and boom, earthquakes him. And then he does the earthquake thing, and then all of a sudden this fan becomes the earthquake, and nobody knew. And I was like, wait, I saw him, but he wrestled. They knew he wasn't a fan. And then it all started coming together.
I don't have like a real come to Jesus moment for when I learned wrestling was fake, but because I started watching when I was 11, and the bug was always in my ear that it wasn't real. But for like that first year, I didn't want to believe it. And for like that first year, I thought it was kind of a shoot. But then things like just logic kind of started coming into play. Like I remember one of the big things was like the show always ended on time. And even if like I'd be thinking to myself, like, holy cow, there's only 4 minutes left in the show, and one of the guys is still making his way to the ring. How can they put this match on? They know it's not going to end, but it would still end on time. Or, you know, like just stuff like that would really, I just start noticing little things that I started to put it together.
Right. They were able to time these fights perfectly. Although sometimes you get we're out of time.
Yeah, but it was so rare. I don't even remember. Like, during the new generation, you didn't really, a match never really left in progress.
I'd love that when everyone starts writing their reviews or their opinions today on the Post to Post show. I'd love you guys to talk about when did the shoot become a work for you?
Yeah, how did you know something stank?
Or was it always? I mean, sometimes if you start watching when you're 15, I mean, you're in.
Every once in a while, there's someone on the post show that I still think they think it's a shoot.
My Uncle Simon, he passed away 2 years ago in his 80s, and I swear to God, he thought it was real. To that point, I swear to God, because I remember him. I'd see him at like holidays, and he'd be like, it was during the NWO, and he's like, "That son of a bitch, Hogan! I can't believe it."
That's great. Yeah, but you know, for Evan, you know, it's like in like a Santa Claus kind of way. Keep it as real as you can for as long as you can. For as long as you can, but don't let it get so long that it's weird. Like I was 13 before I was smartened up on that whole thing. Yeah, it was fourth grade again for me, and it was the same kind of thing. It was just like I was just sitting down and thinking about all the things that had to go into this, and I'm like, it's not possible. No one told me, it just dawned on me.
Here I am as an 11-year-old going, wrestling's a work, but I'm still like writing analysts.
Oh, let's talk about SmackDown. I love you, Jer.
Oh,
I don't tell
you
you enough. Let's start at the top, if you don't mind. I took a few notes. SmackDown was also, it was kind of like Raw. It was like, it wasn't a bad show. They're kind of, I feel like we're still post WrestleMania. We're still post Superstar Shakeup. I feel like a lot of these angles are in chapter 1 right now.
I'm okay with that. I'm good with that.
Yeah. So while I wouldn't say it was a home run show last night, I feel like it was building properly. Like we're on pace to get to where we need to get to. Agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do like that they've put a detour in the Miz Daniel Bryan road, and they're going to make us wait for that a little bit. I really like that. I enjoy that.
That's where I wanted to start. And actually one of the themes of the show, and this is very high praise in my opinion, is they are, I'll either say allowing people to, or it's just happening for whatever reason, but a lot of people, I'm going to name 2 off the top of my head. Big Cass and Carmella are people who have never really displayed personality before, who have displayed a lot of personality over the past 2 weeks.
Cass came back with a much improved repertoire on the mic.
Yeah, well, he was always kind of like overshadowed by Enzo, and then kind of like transitioned into the silent killer kind of heel. But now it's like, okay, there's something there. He's not the best on the stick, but he's passable.
Well, what's he trying to do now? Is he like a 7-foot-tall Miz, like coming out in a super nice suit, putting his watch on? And
he strikes me as an edge, as weird as that might sound.
I'm okay with it, but I thought for a minute, I'm like, they may accidentally double turn here, or they might accidentally turn Miz into a face if they're not careful. Like Miz was getting a lot of support all of a sudden between he and Cass, and they don't want that yet.
He's just so over, man. I cannot believe he has become a highlight of every show he's on to me.
He's A+.
I used to hate the guy so in a real kind of way, not in a heel kind of way.
Like a Ryback way for me.
Just like, yeah, I don't want him in my business. He's a stupid reality star who doesn't belong here. He doesn't work hard. He's not good. and I have just 180'd on him. But I mean, also at the same time, I think when I felt that, it was probably true when he stepped his game up. But I mean, he's just so good.
I know he's been world champion once. I'd like him to become world champion now at his best.
He doesn't. I'm not even positive he needs it, but it wouldn't upset me. I think he'll be just as good.
This is the show for him to get it too, I think. Although I would like to see him and Brock Lesnar. I think that would be a fun feud.
I heard it almost happened. Like, I think around Royal Rumble time, they were tossing that idea around. He's just so good on the
fun.
Yeah, so I agree with you. So, okay, let's talk about what happened with him. Did they resolve who attacked Daniel Bryan last night? I know he got attacked.
So they resolved it by just it was clear and obvious, I think. So The Miz says Daniel Bryan's coming out, then Daniel Bryan doesn't come out. And Cass says confidently, "You don't have a guest, so I'll be your guest." As if to say, I know something you don't know. Then they cut immediately after the interview. They cut to Daniel Bryan all laid out. And then later in the show, Daniel Bryan says, "I don't know why a 7-foot-tall person would have to attack anyone from behind." So, I mean, in those regards, it's not a mystery like who attacked Enzo. It was Big Cass attacked Daniel Bryan. He went out, gloated. Now what are you going to do about it?
By the way, it was who attacked Enzo. It wound up being the crazy woman from Nevada or whatever she was from.
Enzo screwed Enzo.
Enzo made his first tweet since the whole thing happened this week.
Well, did he? How did that go? What was the tweet?
It was a picture of a pair of Air Jordans tied together over telephone wires. And it was something like, like I'm out, and just a peace emoji.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of late, but yeah. I feel a little bad about this now that we're a few months removed.
Okay.
The only thing is, if Enzo did it, disgusting, should be fired, should be in jail, horrible accusations.
No question.
I feel like sometimes you might need to let the judicial process play out.
Well, I mean, the court of public opinion, and with Twitter and social media now, that takes precedent, and you're convicted so easily now. Even if he gets acquitted down the road of this, he won't recover.
No.
Professionally, he won't recover.
Even if it was a totally consensual thing, or even if they had never met before, the damage has been done. And that is also a problem, because he may not have done anything. That's all. I'm not saying he didn't. I don't really have an opinion or a favorite in this. My favorite is justice.
But if he didn't do anything, the whole thing's a shame.
There are also people on the post show will probably say that part of the problem was that he didn't tell WWE. My only thought about that is, would you tell your employer about this if you were in this situation?
You thought it was going to blow off? No.
Yeah, or like, he may have not done anything wrong, is all I'm going to say about that.
Did you like the opening segment with Cass and Miz?
I did. Even though I didn't think Cass was great in the role, it was different for him, and I think this is going to be a good position for him.
He showed more personality than he has in a long time, and
than he has ever.
If you're going to work him back, his first couple matches are going to be with Daniel Bryan. That should be really good. I don't expect Cass to go over, which is interesting. You'd think you'd bring Daniel and Cass back with feuds that they were going to win right away, but or not. I just don't see Daniel. I see Daniel Bryan going over Cass somehow.
See, and this is the thing, is I think that Daniel Bryan and Cass is a Backlash match, and I think that Miz and Bryan is a SummerSlam match.
Absolutely.
And you can probably find a way to get the Miz in there too, in like a triple threat kind of way or whatever in the meantime. So
okay, yeah.
So that's something.
There's someone standing right outside the door.
Dude, I understand. I understand.
Okay.
So that was the beginning segment of the show. And then also, so I mentioned that two people specifically Carmella and Big Cass showed some personality. There were also 2 instances of surprise outcomes last night.
Oh yeah,
one of
absolutely.
them being a big win for the Iconics, who, by the way, I love their presentation. I love their name. I like how they spell it with 2 I's. You don't have to.
I'm going.
I understand. It's okay. The Iconics picked up a big win over Asuka.
I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay. It's okay.
Okay. I'll explain in a minute.
By the way, just so you know, in 30 seconds, something amazing is going to happen. Anyone watching knows that Jerry has been trying to sign to somebody outside of the door who is clearly bothering him. I bet you he's like me and that he has a mic light on, which means that the people outside the door know they probably shouldn't come in the door. And every once in a while it happens, and it's frustrating and distracting. And we will see what happens when the big guy returns. Here he is. As I said at the top of the show, he's the most must-see athlete. Who needed to see you this time?
So, no good deed goes unpunished.
I promised. I told people in 30 seconds when he returns, it's going to be amazing.
So I do this thing for a charity called Tides, and they're wonderful. It's for grieving kids. You know, they lose their parents or whatever, and it's an organization for them, and that's great. And so I do this thing. It's called Happy Valley's Got Talent, which I can't stand the title because it's grammatically so stupid. Happy Valley does have talent indeed, but it doesn't got anything, you idiots. So anyways, Happy Valley's Got Talent. And I've hosted it for them for like 5 years. And the producer, he's a nice enough guy. He just doesn't get it. He was like, today he wrote to me. He was like, I have your cue cards, which I've never freaking used. I've got your cue cards and everything that you can look at, and I'll bring it over today. And I was like, great. I'm going to be unavailable. Just leave it at the front desk. And then I'll take a look at them, and I'll see you on Saturday for the tech rehearsal because that's Saturday. And he's like, great. And so lo and behold, Lurch is just standing outside the door like, just like looking in the window. And so I try, go back and watch the tape. I mean, if you see me, I'm just like, go.
Believe it or not, I noticed.
And I'm like waving him off. And I'm trying to be like, what's sign language for I'm on the air? What universal symbol could I give him for I'm busy right now, can't talk, I'm on the air, pal?
It's great because you have headphones on, you're talking into a microphone,
lights on, he's illuminated by big red light.
I told the audience, I imagine Jerry's studio is like mine in that there's a red on-air light outside the studio to alert people that something important is happening inside the studio. It's the one light that says, do not effing enter this room while this light is on.
Don't come in here. Don't come in here. And he just stands there, and I just think like, everyone else in the building knows, like if they pop their head in and they see I'm doing this, I'll catch them out of my periphery and then they'll go away. He's not a radio person. He's not in this building. He was going to stand there until this was over. And I looked at the clock and I was like, I am not doing this podcast for another 20 minutes while he eyeballs the side of my face. I'm just not going to do it. So I had to pause and I had to go out and I opened the door and he starts coming in. I was like, no. I was like, I'm on the air, Jerry. What's going on? What do you need? And he was like, well, I dropped the cards off, like you said. You son of a bitch. Like, yes. That's what you wanted to tell me? Yeah, I dropped them off.
Whose birthday is it, by the way? Happy birthday, Jake the Snake.
Nobody has a birthday today. Nobody. I'm looking at it. April 24th and 25th are empty. Tomorrow it's Kane. Happy birthday, Kane.
Jared,
oh my God.
It's the best. It's just why I love radio. It's just like,
what can I do? Who let him back? I'm sorry that it's National Administrative Assistant Day, but somebody should have their ass at the front desk. Not let. What's happened?
We used to have a cleaning lady who would wait. She would only come at night. This is when I was back at doing the night show, and she would only come in when the mic light was on, and then she would just start talking.
Does she not know that the light on means don't come in?
No. But she literally one time I was talking. I don't remember what I was talking about, but I remember I was talking about Miley Cyrus, and she just starts all, "Oh yeah, I saw that," and I'm talking to Big Boy, and she just comes into the conversation. We have our headphones on, we're talking into microphones, and then the lady who's grabbing the trash, who only comes in when the red light is on, and starts talking to us. It was the craziest thing. Hashtag radio.
Hashtag what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, what a clown show this is. Like, what?
Like, do you think people wander on to Letterman's set? You know, like, just like, like it just doesn't happen that way.
And the salespeople do it all the time in the morning. Like, there's just, it wouldn't even be passive aggressive. It would be aggressively aggressive. I just want to walk into the middle of a sales meeting once.
Just actively aggressive.
Hey, how about those pens, huh?
But no, see, like, you do it not during a sales meeting. You do it while they're trying to make a sale.
At a call, just walk into a business and sit down.
Exactly. That's because this is where we make the money. Do it while they're making the money.
And when they look at me like, "What are you doing here?" I'll just do what they do and go, I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet.
Can you imagine you're at a sales call? They're like a car dealership. They're in the GM's office, and you just strut on in, and you're like, oh,
I like this one too. Can you see me? This one. I'm going like
not
this.
yeah, not there. You go.
Like, I'll start talking, and they'll do this move. Like, I'm talking, and they come in, and then they face the other way. Like, you haven't become invisible. Like, you haven't made yourself vanish. Why are you here?
Oh my God. Yeah. So relatable.
Anyways, I forget what we were saying. I'm sorry that happened.
It's okay. And you're forgiven. And like always, you know, we turn it into something because we have to.
I like how when things go wrong for me, you sort of get excited. You're like,
no,
oh,
yeah. Well, see, I'd rather you just be like, "There's some idiot standing outside my door," than trying to ignore it. You know, once you reach the point of no return, that's when it becomes funny.
I was tempted.
Do you know who
I was tempted to say, "Rob, just everybody watch," and then just bring them in.
Just turn the phone. Be like, this person, they want to be on there.
What's going on, Jerry? Oh, I just dropped everything off at the front desk for you. Oh, just like I said. Yeah. Great.
I can't wait to go back and watch that part. Do you know who the other upset victory was? We mentioned the icon. By the way, Asuka, I feel like her value has just plummeted since the streak ended.
It's like they were waiting for that streak to end so they could just poop all over her.
Who was she with? I don't even remember. Who did she team with?
Oh my God! It was Iconics versus her and Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch.
I thought it was surprising that the Iconics went over. And do you know who the other surprise victory was for me last night? It was a pretty big one, I thought. Did not.
Which one?
It was Shelton Benjamin going over Randy Orton. Oh
yeah, Shelton Benjamin going over Orton. I tuned out. I watched it, but I tuned out.
But it seemed like I know that the Singh brother interfered, but it was kind of clean.
Yeah, it was clean enough. Clean enough. And here's Randy Orton. We're gonna have a triple threat for the U.S. title here at Backlash, I assume, if Jeff Hardy holds on to it.
Yeah, we've got a lot to get to tomorrow. And tomorrow, correct me, do you know when we're doing it tomorrow?
I really don't.
Okay.
My mother has a doctor's appointment, and she's doing a thing at 10:30. However long that is, I'm with her, and it could be a heck of a day. So it could be like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock that we get to do it from our homes. But
that's cool. I would normally say let's just do it on Friday, but the show's Friday.
Do you know what I would be willing to do?
What's that?
But I mean, you just wait to post it, but people could peek it. We could finish this, and we could just do it. We could do it now.
Okay, that's not a bad idea.
I could easily do back to back, and we just have to. I'd have to pick on the fly, but I have an idea who I want to win, anyways. So if you want to do it that way, and then just post it, stagger the posting, we could do it that way.
I think I've got time to do that today.
Hey, they used to tape Raws, for God's sake. What?
Yeah, it could be a double episode for the live crowd.
Well, yeah,
that's not a bad idea. And then let me just mention a few more things. We'll chat about this in a second. I will need to at least take a potty break. I know that.
Sure.
What did I want to mention? Oh, the Usos went over the Bludgeon Brothers, and that's got stuff to it. I'm not a huge Naomi fan, but the way they're using her, I think, is kind of cool.
Well, I was like, why is she coming out like a full-blown dance entrance? She's distracting them. This is great. Bang! I liked it. It was the first time in a while I've seen Naomi and not been pissed.
Yeah, I was about to say, I can't. They're doing this all wrong. If wrestling was real, why would she be doing a full entrance for her run-in? But it was just supposed to be the distraction, so it was the right way to do that. Yeah,
that was really well booked. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. SmackDown's done this to me before, where we're like, hey, SmackDown did a really good show. And then they right into the tank. But they freshened it up. Just to, hate to beat a dead horse, but just think how fresh it would be if everybody was on every show.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they need. Well, and I hear a rumor that there's a women's tag title on the way. And I don't know how they're going to do this without combining the women's rosters. I think it's kind of crazy to have a women's tag belt. Even if you do combine the rosters, I still think it's a little thin.
Yeah.
But there's no way you can do it without the rosters being combined. And then the only other real note I have from the show was, I'm assuming you noticed the changes to Nakamura's entrance.
Yes.
I'm actually okay with it. I thought the wrapping was kind of cool.
I'm fine with it. I like heel Nakamura. I loved what they're doing with him. They're doing more to get me invested in Nakamura and his matches than they did at all from the minute he came to SmackDown. So keep it up. I don't care. Tweak what you think needs to be tweaked. Tweak what you need to tweak. I'm excited. I'm more excited to see him and AJ Styles fight now than I was leading up to Mania.
Yeah, now there's actually an angle to it. I agree. So, okay, well, let's do this, Jer. I'll probably need... I haven't actually made my official predictions yet, but let me... Okay, so I'll need maybe like 10, 15 minutes. Let me get up and use the bathroom real quick. I'll need to make another room and probably send you another invite.
Okay. We'll sign off. It's 10:55 now. My time. Let's meet back at 11:10 my time.
Okay, I'll text you when I send you another room invite.
Okay.
This works.
There it is.
So here, so everyone watching live, you're about to get something special. A back-to-back episode of Post to Post. I didn't even know we were doing this.
No. We're not prepared.
Let me make some predictions for I think I've got most of them up here. And we'll post this episode that you just watched here shortly. Tomorrow we'll post the predictions episode.
But you'll know the predictions today.
Yeah, but if you're watching live, you've got the heads up.
And this is why you subscribe to GBF.
Yeah, to the 103 GBF Rocks YouTube channel. Yeah, if you subscribe to it, there's no screwing around. Awesome. Jerry, you had a great idea. All right, I'll wrap this one up. And about 15 minutes from now, we will have another episode of Post to Post with predictions for what I'm calling one of the strangest shows in the history of WWE, the Greatest Royal Rumble. Our predictions for that coming up very shortly here on Post to Post. No vaginas allowed. Remember. Yeah, stay home. You leave that stinky. You leave that body part at home. No, you were right the first time.